calling the meeting of the Manistee Area Public School Boards to order at 7 p.m. Any changes in the agenda? We have one change in the agenda. We had a closed session down. We did not have a need for a closed session. So I need a motion to maybe...
I'll make the motion to accept the agenda with the change as proposed.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. We're moving on to celebration of MAP success.
Yes, a slight change. It's not going to be the Quiz Bowl team. It's going to be the Science Olympiad team. And our coach, advisor, Mr. Postma and Ms. Dance are here. So if you guys want to take over, welcome.
Going for it again. All right. Well, we are busy. We've got 14 people on the Science Olympiad team, and we are busy getting ready for our regional tournament, which is a week from Saturday at Mid-Michigan Community College. Real briefly, what Science Olympiad is, it's a competition that covers, there's 23 events. They cover topics from genetics, earth science, chemistry, anatomy, physics, geology, mechanical engineering, and technology. But the emphasis is on hands-on, minds-on. They're very active. If you step into my classroom when they are working on their events, you're going to see kids testing, building, reanalyzing, redesigning,
And studying.
studying, yes. And to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of some of the building events. Those are more interesting to actually show off to the public. Cheyenne is here, Lily and Amber, and they're going to show you 3 events. So.
I'm Cheyenne Shapely. I'm on 3 events, and this is one of them. It's called the Scrambler, and the goal is to put an egg on the front of it, and the egg actually has to stop. You have to make the car stop in front of a wall before it hits a wall. So we have a braking system, and you wind the wheel, which I've already wound it, and you wind the wheel, and it stops after you roll it. And there's actually a launching system we have. It's really big though, and you release the launch, and it kind of pushes the car. So I'll show you how that works.
And when they get to competition, they'll be told, okay, you have to do this so many meters. They don't know ahead of time, so they have to...
Don't go there. Don't do so close to the wall. And this is 8.7 meters. It goes by, it's 8.7 to 11.7.
Amber, you want to share Boom a Lever? Each person competes in usually 3 or 4 events. So.
Okay. I'm Amber Cooper, and I'm on 4 events, and this is one of them. And it's called Boom a Lever, and you make an arm-type structure out of balsa wood and glue that has to, it's tests on efficiency, where you'll attach it to a wall, and you fill the bug with sand, and you go by how much the structure weighs, by how much sand it held, and the highest efficiency wins. And it's a lot of trial and error, because these are 2 of we built and broken, so we just keep on building them to see and making improvements so we can do the best one we can.
And the minimum it has to hold is 15 kilograms, which is over 30 pounds. So.
Wow.
We're not there yet.
How many more do you think you're going to do?
Is that the one?
You have to make another one, and at least one more before regionals.
Good luck.
Thank you.
She could do one.
And then this is another one, and we're on it together.
and it's called Elastic Launch Glider. And actually, you just take, we're not going to do it because
Yeah.
it'll go too high, but
Yeah.
you actually just like attach this to this, and it like launches up high. And it's supposed to, as of right now, we're still making improvements, but
Yeah.
it's supposed to glide down, and like whoever has the longest time wins.
So you just kind of.
Like a glorified paper.
Do you, any idea what the overall record is?
Pretty
I've
high,
seen him
yeah.
go a lot.
Yeah.
Well, these, I think with that, I think it's like 20 seconds. So it's not tremendous. But
Still long, doesn't
We're working on it.
yeah, in past years they've had rubber band powered ones, and those go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, good luck. Before we get to the board recognition, I just wanted to comment, we just found out recently that our wrestling team was named Academic All-State by the Michigan Wrestling Association. The team had an overall GPA of 3.5, and there are stipulations. They have to, you know, it's the kids who wrestle a certain number of meets. So as a team, they do very well, and I think you probably would find that a lot with our student athletes, that you know, they're dedicated, they're disciplined, and not only on the athletic field but in academics as well. So just want to congratulate the wrestling team on being named Academic All-State. And then the next thing I have is recognizing the Board of Education. I'm glad we have a good crowd here tonight, because it gives me a chance to talk a little bit about what's been going on. About 3 years ago, we embarked on a 2-year process that took us a little more than 2 years because we had weather cancellations and different things, but it was in essence an extended process with the Michigan Association of School Boards, where they came in. They brought one of their instructors here to Manistee, and the Board of Education met for 3 or 3.5 hours, an additional night a month in addition to the regular meeting, to go through, well, and they even gave up, they all took vacation day to attend a strategic planning session, and they just spent a lot of time in professional development type activities that was everything from you know, how to operate efficiently as a board, to student data, to a strategic planning process. There were just a number of things that this board did in a very systemic way. And what we heard from the Michigan Association of School Boards was that a lot of schools have taken bits and pieces of what we did, but Manistee still is the only district, the only Board of Education in the state of Michigan that has gone top to bottom through that professional development process, and it was a huge commitment of time on behalf of this board. And when the Michigan Association of School Boards talks about models that boards should follow, our name is brought up. And so you guys should all be exceptionally proud of that, and in recognition of that, the School Board Association sent certificates and then a nice little paperweight that it takes teamwork. And so we're going to recognize the board at this time for their dedication, and to be honest with you, just an awful lot of hours that they put in to become a better board. Congratulations.
Now, I have to say, it wasn't all work. It was some fun. I mean, it was fun kind of getting to know each other. Thank you, John. And kind of learn how each other thinks and be able to kind of come to a consensus. And it definitely has made us a more effective board. It was a great idea and well worth it. Anything else?
No, that'll do it.
public communications. This portion of the agenda is for persons to address the board. Public communication and comment is limited to 3 minutes per individual. This comment period is only for those items that appear on the agenda. A second public communication and comment period is scheduled at the end of the meeting for any other items. And we do have forms. Typically, if we have someone speaking, we need you to fill out a form so we know to get back in touch with, how to get back in touch with you if we have any other questions or comments. Who do we have, Sharon?
First is Allie Zimmerman and Anna Kuchke on the Payne Aquatic Center.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Allie Zimmerman. I'm a sophomore at MHS and, well, I swim. How I first got into swimming, well, a friend of mine in 6th grade, she said, hey, Allie, you want to go swimming after school? I said, sure, that sounds fun, you know. And when I got there, and, well, it's Anna Kuchke, she's really good. I forgot how good she was. So she was swimming laps while I was sitting in the shallow end just splashing around. Not my best moment, but, in comes walking Coach Corey Van Fleet, and ever since then he's been my coach. And he bent down and says, hey, how about you guys race there and back and see how it goes. So, okay, sure, I think I can do that. And ever since then I've been swimming. What this pool has brought to us is it's allowed a lot of people, including myself, to allow us to be in the best physical shape that we've been in our life. And that's like really important. That's awesome. And okay, I've been on a few summer swim teams. I've been on a couple middle school teams. In fact, I've recently helped coach a middle school team, which is a really good experience. And this will be my 3rd year on varsity team. Throughout, since our program has started, we've excelled so much. Like, our first season, we were struggling to get points in our conference meet, got last. And now we're getting first in our conference meet, qualifying for state. That's like when you hear those stories, when you hear how you did, or even if you're there and you get those goosebumps, it's like something you'll never forget. And those are all, along the way, you learn lessons like how to cooperate, how to be dedicated, how to keep your head up and be strong, how to work as a team. Work as a team is in teamwork, and those are all lessons that you can't put a price on. I'm proud to be a swimmer, and I'm really grateful that Payne Aquatic Center has been here to help us along the way.
Hi, I'm Anna Kuchke. I am also a swimmer, and the Payne Aquatic Center really has brought a lot of people together, especially on the swim team. The swimmers on the team, they all bond really well. It's like we've become one big family, and it's a great atmosphere. Everyone becomes in great shape, and I helped coach be a lane coach for the middle school, and it was just great seeing all the swimmers who swam before and beginner swimmers just kind of improve and become better than when they started. So, yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Lisa Kuchke.
I have a few notes. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to express my opinion regarding the Payne Aquatic Center. As a parent, a coach, a volunteer, and a lap swimmer myself, I have seen firsthand the benefits reaped by our community from this pool. From tots learning how to swim to seniors getting much needed low-impact exercise, from patients receiving physical therapy to ISD students enjoying the water, from new swimmers to state-level competitive swimmers, from general middle school and high school PE classes to the 4th through 6th graders receiving swimming lessons as part of their PE curriculum. The pool is a tremendous asset to our community. Every citizen in Manistee County should know how to swim for their own safety, and the Payne Aquatic Center provides the perfect opportunity to teach those skills. As a coach, I see lives changed at the pool. Personal character and integrity are emphasized in all of the swim programs. The swimmers learn discipline and perseverance by attending 2-a-day practices over the course of their season, arriving at the pool at 6 a.m., and often not finishing until 6:30 in the evening. In addition to working on their sport, the student athletes need to maintain good grades. They're taught teamwork and responsibility. The boys swim team and the girls swim team each volunteer their time to run the other team's meets in their off season. In addition to our athletes, we have many, many parents volunteer their time at every meet to help the event to run smoothly. The older swimmers volunteer their time to help teach the younger middle school students and the summer club swimmers. They're taught respect and sportsmanship, and they learn the importance of conducting themselves well, not only as Chippewas, but as members of the Manistee community. The generosity of the Payne family in donating this beautiful facility to our community cannot be overstated, and for that, our family is truly grateful.
Thank you. Sherry.
I'm not a public speaker, so I wrote mine out as well, and I gave you all a copy. As the current president of the Manistee Swim Team, which is the summer program, I would like to say a few words about the generous or gorgeous facility that MAPS was given by the Payne family. Now, I've been involved with the Manistee Swim Team since my children were 8 years old, so it's a long time, and have seen dozens of pools in our travels, and the Payne Aquatic Center is a clear standout for its size, layout, and accessibility. Every team that comes to this pool for the first time is in absolute awe of our facility. I am stopped almost daily at work, wherever I go, and asked about the pool and the swim teams and how they can become a part of it. Before this pool was built, our team was limited to just 60 swimmers, ages 6 through 18, and had the expense of transporting our team to even practices at West Shore Community College, and we only practiced 3 days a week. And when the season was over, the kids were just getting started and they wanted more. Once we moved to the Payne Aquatic Center in 2009, we were able to practice more. Our team size actually doubled, and we became the instant feeder program for MAPS middle and high school teams. In fact, our head coach, Calvin Melstrom, is retiring this year. After 26 years of coaching, and Morgan Ott, a former Manistee Swim Team and MHS swimmer, will be our head coach this summer, so that's very exciting. Manistee Swim Team has purchased the lane markers, the pool common speaker, the starting block speakers, the copy machine, not to mention all the kickboards and the pool buoys, and the swim fans that not only do the teams, but the public use on a daily basis. And since the pool has opened, both the pool and the team records are beaten every single year due to the swimmers' dedication to the sport and their accessibility to the pool. The Manistee Swim Team is very, very grateful to the Payne family for choosing MAPS as the location of their gift, giving the whole community the opportunity to learn the necessary life skill of swimming, and to MAPS for taking over the day-to-day operation of this first class facility. Thank you.
That is it for the public comment for this. Any comments? I guess I'd just like to make a quick comment about that. And everything that I've heard here that you guys have talked about kind of embodies what we're really striving for at MAPS. I've heard leadership, teamwork, community, safety, respect, physical conditioning, and all of that as an entire public school system. That's what we're trying to do, and we're accomplishing that in that little microcosm at the Payne Aquatic Center. So thank you. All right, let's move on. No board or committee reports. All right. Correspondence and superintendent's report.
Yes, those first two items, the MCOE 2020 and the ISD newsletter. Any questions or comments on those? Okay, then I will turn the next part. Go ahead.
When are we going to hear any more about the ISD line?
The question was that the MCOE 2020 was talking about some potential county-wide millages for education, vocational ed, technology or something, and we just keep talking about it. There's really no timeline or plan on it because it would take all the schools agreeing to do something, and we all have kind of conflicting interests at this point. So right now, there's really not any imminent decision. Yep. So anyway, at this point, I turn over to Howard to talk about the amendment we're going to make to the budget.
Sure. Included in your board packet was a proposed amended budget. It's on the agenda for your consideration under action items. We're making a number of amendments to a number of funds, and I'll just briefly hit some of the more significant adjustments that we're proposing. General fund is where we'll start, and our overall revenues are anticipated to be $550,000 more than we originally had projected. Before we get too excited about that, I need to point out a few things, and that's one is that $240,000 of that increase is just a change in accounting. We had originally booked just the net Apple purchase, and what we've gone through now is put the sale of the equipment into the revenues and the full amount of the expenditures into the expenditure. So there's a $240,000 increase just from that bookkeeping change in both the revenue and expenditure side. We did see a better than expected state revenues. We had more students than we originally had projected, and of course with that came some increased expenditures that we'll see down below as we added staff to accommodate those students. Federal revenues are expected to be down a little bit, and that's largely because when we adopted our budget and amended last year's budget, we had anticipated some carryover of prior years' federal funds into this year. We were able to capture all those revenues last year, so they offset the amount of fund equity we used this year. So the same amount of money came in, it was just the timing difference between the 2 years. The other category that changed is incoming transfers, and it's a little increase in the number of vocational students from out-county schools who are attending our program that we do. It's our Allied Health program. So if you get down into the expenditure side, kind of there's some overriding principles that made for changes, some of which I mentioned, the bookkeeping change, and then also we had anticipated concessions, which every employee in the district has made concessions this year to help us balance our budget as compared to last year's budget. But some of those concessions kicked in later than what we had budgeted in our initial budget. So while revenues went up $550,000, we're anticipating expenditures to increase $675,000 more than we originally budgeted. So we're anticipating using about $128,000 of fund equity this year. As you know from past times I've been through this, generally we end up a little bit better than what we expect because there's not much cushion in any of these budgets. They continue to get tighter and tighter. But we cannot take the possibility of going over budget. So generally you have favorable variances throughout the budget, and in the past that's added up to $150,000. So while the budget we're asking you to adopt officially requires the use of some additional fund equity, we're very hopeful that at the end we'll come close to a wash. Just a couple other things I wanted to point out. In the athletic budget, no change in the totals. Total revenue the same, total expenditures the same, but some changes in how we're paying coaches. We had been paying non-employee coaches through a third-party provider. It offered us a little bit of savings as the cost of them providing that service as compared to retirement. But in order to ensure that those coaches are protected by our insurance, we've brought them all back into the employee umbrella. So
our liability.
Yeah, liability insurance. Yep. Yeah, I'm sorry, not any healthcare insurance. So I just wanted to point that out. Right now, we're not anticipating having to make any increased transfer, but it's something that we're going to have to watch. We'll get all the spring coaches once they're hired in and take another look at this, because theoretically, we should see a little bit of increased cost because we're not getting the savings of the retirement as compared to the third-party provider. But again, did you have a question, Joe?
Well, when you're ready.
Oh,
just as a point of reference, what's the percentage that we're paying on their retirement that they're never going to use?
25%. Yeah. Yep, and in the case, as you pointed out, people who are non-employees, and this is their only involvement in the Michigan's public schools employment system, they'll never be vested and never draw. They, as an individual, can request a reimbursement and get refunded their portion of the payment, but our 25% just goes into the pool. So.
Good news for me, I guess.
As I flip here, food service should be the next fund. And Payne Aquatic Center, no adjustments at this time. We're watching, as we always are, revenues and expenditures there. It looks like one area may be over, but it'll anticipate that another area will be under, and we'll be able to balance that. That's how it's looking at this point. So no change in either the pool transfer or the athletic transfer from what we originally planned. In food service, the only change that we made here was, you guys will remember that for a number of years, we've been submitting deficit reduction plans to the state of Michigan because we have excess fund balance in the food service fund. Those funds originate from federal sources and can't be used for any other purpose. They need to be used in food service. What we've been able to do for years is to avoid things like increasing lunch prices. There was a year where we had to increase it due to federal requirements, but there's been a lot of times where we've been able to avoid those increases because we're using up fund balance. We've also updated equipment, purchased a new truck. This year, a big project that took place was updating the cooler freezer downstairs, which was a big project. So anyways, just trying to increase the amount that we've got in that capital outlay available, not saying we're going to spend it all, but making that available of that excess fund equity so that if we have the opportunity, we can spend that down and get in compliance. So I hope that answers that question. The debt service funds didn't see any changes. We provided the documents because we plugged in the actual columns for last year. And then the only other fund is the last page is our capital projects fund. We're closing out that fund, and these adjustments just allow us to close it out. We've completed the Honeywell project, we completed the roof on this building, and so we'll close that fund out this year. So those are the proposed changes for your consideration tonight. Anybody have questions on that?
So how's the roof behaved during this 100-year
Very dry.
winter we're having?
Very well. We haven't had, even the thaw and the freeze, we haven't had a leak anywhere.
Have you noticed a difference in the overall uniformity of the heat in the building?
Yeah, there's been some changes. You can see the difference, yeah.
Right, but don't know if we can attribute that fully to the roof or all the Honeywell work we did too.
So Howard, on some of the expenditures we have, some of those go up and down, and some of them will have very, a limited control on salaries, this and that, especially like with the new kindergarten teacher and stuff like that's going to add on to it. But some of those other ones, the technology services, and some of those we've sharpened the pencil on those.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. Technology services, if you look back, you'll see that I had decreased it over prior years, and it's because I made a mistake. When I was doing my spreadsheet, I typed in $4,500 instead of $45,000 into a field, and we caught that and corrected it. But the vast majority of our expenditures here are things that you control not only by budget, you control the hiring process, the number of teachers, and you control the contracts that we pay them by. So that dictates the huge percentage of these expenditures. The discretionary money is pretty minimal.
Okay. The other thing, I think it was about December that we implemented a pay freeze on any non-essential discretionary spending. That is still in effect, and will continue to be in effect for the foreseeable future.
And we're
Yeah, go ahead.
just another area that we're watching closely is operations and maintenance at 261s. We anticipated all of our savings, full savings compared to last year from the Honeywell energy improvements, but this winter has been brutal, and we know that we're going to see increased costs for plowing, for heat, and also salt, a lot of stuff. So that's
Coming back from Texas, I noticed that it isn't over yet.
No, it's not. So we're keeping a close eye on that also.
What about the vocational one? It looks like we have 100% available. Is
Yes.
that correct still? So
We
but it
haven't
went
paid
up
the bill.
21,000.
Yeah, and what the deal is there is, the way that we're running our vocational program is that it's run by, what's the West Shore EDU?
ESD.
ESD. And we're paying half of the cost of that program. That's different than what we did last year. So our costs went up. But when I was talking about revenue and the increase in incoming transfers, we have more out-county students participating in that, so we're drawing in that revenue. So when you net the two together, we're at what we had expected. It's just that we're paying more, but collecting more from the other schools. If that makes sense.
Thank you.
Any other questions on any of the guidance? Oh, you know, one other, just one last point. The last item, outgoing transfers, you'll see that we reduced that, and the reason for that reduction is we were the recipient of about $70,000 of energy rebates from energy companies, consumers, DTE. As a result of all the work Honeywell did, they applied for all those grants on our behalf, and we received those funds, deposited them directly into the debt service fund, which reduced the amount of money we had to use this year of general fund savings to make that payment.
And then when do we see any funds from K-12 and the co-op? Is it at the end of the year?
Well, I have a hard time keeping the two straight, but the charter school, the 3% that we collect, is part of our state aid. Or wait, maybe it shows up. It shows up in our revenues. I can't tell you right now what function. I believe it's in state aid. But the way that works, Chris, is that their entire state aid payment is deposited into our account. And then we transfer 97% of it to them and retain the 3% that we get for being the chartering agent.
Okay.
So those revenues are there.
Okay.
That's the way that works with the charter. And then
Is
the
that
other...
payable in our accounts payable as well? For $17,000, is that, when we get to that point, was that, it's like K-12, yes, co-op, something along that line?
There are the two entities. There's the one Howard just discussed, and then there's the co-op of Sudstate, Grayling, and Manistee. That revenue will come in later in the spring.
Okay. And my question, I guess, well, I could ask it when we get to the accounts payable, but there was accounts payable for $17,000, and it was to, yes, K-12, co-op.
Is that a...
I think that was the,
K-12 Incorporated bill?
that was the K-12 bill for those online.
Yeah, that was what we paid for. No, that was actually then was that our?
Yeah, that was our students.
That was our students.
Our high school students.
Okay.
For the
taking
online
a number of
thing.
programs through
Okay.
there.
Yeah, taking online, like, foreign language class.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Anything else? And then my only comment on the finance report would just be that if you do approve the budget, we'll update the budget numbers in the finance report once you approve them, and you'll see the new budget numbers carrying forward in your monthly reports. Anything else?
All right, moving on to MAPS leadership team.
Just, I don't know if you have any comments or questions. It's provided to you every month.
Any questions? There's always a lot going on.
Okay.
Let's move on then to data review, MHS attendance.
Covered up by Old Glory. Hi. We had a request to kind of review our NEAP data. When we met last time, I didn't have the state averages. And so I thought I'd throw that up there so we can review. As you can see in reading, MAPS is above state average in every grade level. That hasn't happened for MAPS for quite some time. And in fact, it's pretty rare within the state of Michigan. So we're very proud of the elementaries and the middle school and high school for, especially in the elementaries, for the My Blissey reading initiative that we've had for the past, how many years, Kevin? 7 years. It's really been paying off. So thanks.
As you can see, green means we're above state average, yellow means we're within 3 points, and we have some areas of growth, particularly in math. We're not alone in our region of Manistee County in making those math goals, and I know Kevin and the elementary principals have been addressing that in our school improvement plan. Again, you know, you look at some of these and you say, well, we're so close to being state average, but if you see we've doubled some of our scores in science. I know that's due in part to the board's decision to invest in the new science curriculum, Roots of Reading and Seeds of Science. So we're looking forward to seeing more growth in our science programs. So what questions might you have? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking with John. In fact, this is a conversation that went back several years with Andy, Ken, and myself at the high school about attendance. So you'll forgive me, I'm going to show you how the sausage is made when we do our school improvement plan and our district improvement plan, and that helps inform the 5-year plan that the board brings to the community. So over the past 3 years, I can tell from the 9th grade plan test, and the plan is a practice of the 11th grade ACT, it gives us a prediction range. If you do this on the plan, you should be doing this on the ACT. Well, we had 17 students in a borderline. That is, they could go above state average or below state average. So over the years, Andy and I have been tracking those kids and how, if they were in borderline in 9th grade, how did they end up in 11th grade? Well, you know, back with the class of 2012, 9 met or exceeded and 8 were below. So we interviewed those 8 kids and said, you know, what happened between your freshman year and your 11th grade year, and they told us. We also interviewed the kids who exceeded their planned mark, and we said, so what'd you do? And they told us. And year after year, the kids that met or exceeded told us the same thing. I got involved in a sport. I turned up for mock rock one time. I got involved in school. I decided to invest in where I am. I went on a trip to West Shore, or I went on a trip to Ferris, and I decided right then and there I needed to make a change. They really got in tune with something that was happening in our school. And with the kids that were below their predicted ACT scores, we heard the same thing. And that is, I missed a lot of school. It was hard for me to get caught up. It was hard for me to get to tutoring. And lo and behold, you know, when we sat down with the teacher teams, and teachers are a real integral part. They see their students every day. They know what's going on. It was attendance. We had students that were getting A's and B's on their tests. A's and B's as a grade, but on that ACT score, they were underperforming once they hit 7 days or more of absenteeism. So even though they were good students, they weren't getting as well prepared for college as we like because they were simply missing instruction. So our school improvement goal was to really increase student attendance, and that is decrease the number of chronically absent students by 25%. That's our goal for this year, and that's a pretty big goal. And also to offer support before that 7th day of absent with all of our students. So when we sat down to do the district improvement plan with John, I know we've mentioned this for a couple of years, and we were very happy to find Todd, who had come from a school district where they had an attendance counselor. So we have one of the things that you're going to notice, here's our students who failed 1 class, 2 classes, 3 classes, and 4 or more classes. Those are their numbers in blue. And here's the rate of absenteeism with 7 or more days absent. So you can see how the two are very much related. So as a comparison, I took a group of students who were all A's who also had 7 or more absences. So you can see, you know, student per student, absenteeism plays a pretty big part.
One thing Todd brought to us, and I'll let Todd Miller talk a little bit more about his program. One of the most exciting things that Todd brought to us was earn back time. If a student is getting, to about 10 absences, then they can earn back some of the time that they missed. So of our students that have all A's that missed about 10 days of school, 100% of those students took advantage of earn back time. And that is spending time with teachers or spending time with a certified teacher and tutoring after school. So here's our students who failed one class and how much earn back time, or this is the percentage who didn't choose to do earn back time. Here's 2 or more failed classes, and most of them did earn back time. But again, as you can see, the number of students with 3 or 4, the students not engaging in earn back time. So our kids who do earn back time have been doing significantly better. When I looked last year, at first I was bummed to see the number of kids who had failed 1 or 2 classes. I was pretty bummed. Until I saw that last year it was a little more even. So the kids that were failing 4 classes are now failing 3 or 2. Those that were failing 3 last year are now failing 2 or 1. So hopefully, hopefully this time next year this will look even better. So Todd, can you tell us a little bit about what you do every day, and this is really some amazing results, so thank you.
Sure. The 25% with the chronic, I can speak unless we have a really bad spring, we're easily going to meet that goal. The chronic is down at least 33% or so by the numbers I have calculated based on last year, may even be higher than that depending how we do in the spring. My job basically, and I told Julie the first time, education's not that difficult, we have all these models and everything, until I make $1 million someday. You talk to a kid, you pat them on the back when they're correct, you discipline them all equally, doesn't matter who, and then you guide them in the correct way and give them some decision-making power, and they seem to do it. And that's what I do basically, okay? My job is to inform students through a phone call or an email at 5 absences. We've done that. At 8, I have personal contact with a student. It doesn't mean that at 8 I become, you get to 10, you file truancy or anything like that. It means I find out what's going on in their life. Most students have something going on. The first semester, it was a learning curve for parents, guardians, whoever, and the students. What? Why am I being called down here? What's the matter? The phone calls I got, I've had a few adjectives thrown at me the first month or 2 here, okay? They weren't very nice, all right? I got some new words I've learned a little bit here at the beginning of the year, but I can tell you the last 4 or 5 weeks have been great. I've had students come in, I've had parents, what can I do to work with you? What can I do to help? This is my, Julia knows, for 9 straight days now, I picked up some student from school and brought them to school, okay? Well, I knocked on their door, I dragged one out kicking and screaming last week. Whatever we need to do. Another student just came to me today. One I had all kinds of problems with. I'm at 8. I got to go to a college visit. What can I say? Good. You've told me the truth. Thank you. Don't worry about it. Okay? We're going to work this situation out. There's other things that come up. Another student I knew that this student was doing something to better themselves in an extracurricular thing outside, but they hadn't told me. I knew it. I knew the afternoons. I put it together. 2 weeks, Monday through Thursday, gone from 1 o'clock on. I knew something. Just sent the letter out. Young lady came in, told me what had happened. I said, okay, you're bettering yourself. Don't worry about it. Don't panic yet. At 10, if something happens, because I got to do this and this and that. I got a national competition coming up. I said, don't worry about it. We'll work with that, okay? My job is to try to get kids to come to school because grades correlate with being there, all right? I had one young lady last time that did 48 hours of earn back time, I think it was. 48 hours before school, after school. This time, she hit 8 absences, and she came in and said, I need the paper for earn back time. I need to start getting ahead because I know myself I'm going to do it. But she went to it every day to the tutoring. I think she passed every class, didn't she? Every single class. And she was one of those last year, I think, that failed a large number of classes, okay? Those are the types of things I do. I'm a counselor that's working with attendance is what I do, So.
Well, and not only that, but it's about relationships with students and having a safe place to talk about what's going on. It's sad to say, but it's true, and I'm grateful. This is a side effect that we've had more students identified as homeless than we've had in any other year at the middle school, high school. And part of that is that at our age group, kids don't really want to say that they're between homes or that, you know, they're doubled up with another family. They don't want anyone to know. And by having a safe place to go and someone that they can trust and talk to, we're able to get them, you know, some home heating credits. We're able to get them some help at school. We're able to really make a difference in their home life, and hopefully, you know. So it's not necessarily all about numbers. It's not always about academic success. It's about, you know, we love kids, and Todd's really made a big change.
I think part of it is sometimes we think our kids are bad, or I hear comments that kids here. I've been in a different school district, okay? Our kids are great. The number of absenteeisms, I mean, I think Julia looked at the number of kids doing earn back time and go, the first time. I looked at it and go, this is great. I said, percentage-wise, we're about 20 points less than the Portage Northern one I was at. I said, seriously. I said, the number of chronics, and I believe right now, the chronic ones we have are the bare minimal. They're going to happen no matter what we're doing here. We've eliminated all those borderline kids that are missing or close right now. We're down to just a few, a very handful of kids that we're going to have to deal with in other ways anyway, that need more support than just the school system. They need support from outside, the family unit or something like that, and that's where we're at with the rest of them. So I feel very good at what we're doing. But earn back time, real quick, they have to do it before school, after school, and it can't be during the school day. And they can have to be with a teacher that has to sign off on it, okay? I mean, I know that some kids got in a crunch time and they have the weight room open. I made them come up with their computer and books, and I had 2 or 3 kids working in there while some of the other guys were lifting weights and everything, you know, and a couple of young ladies.
We make it work.
What's that?
We make it work.
We make it work, whatever we need to do. I mean, some kids spent time. I know one teacher that came in on the weekend and spent 2 or 3 hours with a math student 3 straight weeks just so the student would, not just get the earn back time, but so the student would do it. I know that teacher.
And as a result, we had 25%. I took the students who had 7 or more absences last year and 7 or more absences this year, whether they did earn back or time, and we saw 25% improvement on their exam grades. So the fact that they're in school and the earn back time is helping them prepare for exams and reach mastery, while it may not result in a passed class, it results that they're now able to stay with their peers, they're not getting frustrated, they're not looking for different school options, they feel that they're cared for and that they have a chance of being successful, if not now, then real quick.
Yeah. I think the spring results are going to be even better than the fall results. I mean, right now, we're almost, I think we are at the end of the marking period. This time we were half the number of absences, I think, that keep people I'm dealing with right now.
So Todd, does it matter how they get their absences? Get sick for a week or whatever?
It's excused or unexcused or pre-excused going to that first 10, but there's a lot of things that go into that. I mean, if a student brings in a medical note, okay, we're good. You know, if a student has some extenuating circumstances, you know, those don't go into that count. Or you know, I have a couple students that had 14 or 15 last time, but they had legitimate reason. I mean, one of them had a baby. Baby got sick. Okay, nothing. You know, I'm not going to sit there and file truancy on somebody that does that. You know, I'm not somebody that's trying to better themselves in another field. There are situations that, you know, I'm pretty good. Just tell me the truth, and we're good. I mean, and it really is not hardcore. You hit 11. The only people we actually filed any type of truancy on or whatever were probably at 19, 20, and everything I tried to do worked. So, you know, we had a lot of people, and then some we didn't that were 15, 16, 17 that didn't do their earn back time. And tried to get their 77.5% on the exam, and that's where they were at. So, I mean, it's got to be, you know, we look at all the factors. I look at all the factors. I talk to Julie, I talk to Jason and Ken. We weigh in everything and what's going on in the student's life. And, you know, I'm for kids first. I will never, ever, you know, first thing kids, and after that we go from there. So, whatever's in their best interest. That answer that? Yep. Okay.
Do you have like an office or?
Yeah, I'm right next to Mr. Howes.
Okay.
You know, right next to him, so.
Door's always open?
Always open. It was always open today. This is a busy day.
I think it's something that's important that you have said to me before is we have hardworking and good kids.
We have hardworking and good
generally.
kids. I mean, sometimes people say our lunchroom, like, oh my God, this is the nicest lunchroom I've ever been in my life. I mean, sometimes people think, these kids are, these guys are great. I mean, I can sit out there and just sit at a table and not worry what's going on. I mean, I've never had this luxury at the two schools I've had before. So I really have. It's like on your toes. What's happening next? So our kids are good, you know. And the more I work with them, the more I just find that they need somebody. I mean, we have a lot of factors that go into kids needing help here, and you know, sometimes just a person caring about them is all they need. So. And I really haven't found too many kids you can't reach in the school district, so it's a rare feat.
Anything else? Yeah. One of the other things Coach Miller does is he runs our Strive program. And we got a lot of people here. We're looking for adults that can spend an hour a week, hour once every couple of weeks.
2 hours a month, basically.
2 hours a month with some of these kids that just need somebody. So if you're interested,
you know, and to jump right on board with that, I was hoping to have more volunteers. I have 5. And I can tell you right now, the 5 I have are vice president here, superintendent here, chamber of commerce, person here. I mean, I need people in the community. And I have a list of, just from Julia, about 27 kids, okay? And I've only got 5 kids right now. And every kid has said yes to the program that we had. So if anybody wants it, my email.
If you want adults,
just email me.
Like high school kids?
It's more 8th, 9th, and 10th grader. We're trying to reach them earlier than waiting until they're junior or senior. And we're also, I just got hooked up with the Rotary with somebody that's talking about giving us incentives for attendance. I mean, like $500 for perfect attendance, something like that. So the guy's willing to do that for anybody in the mentoring program. So, and he's going to meet with me this week or next week on that types of things. So, okay, sure.
But if you're interested in striving, we got a lot of adults here that I know all would be good. Get with Todd. A couple quick comments. What we're doing, or the changes we've made, and the addition of Todd, allow the whole high school team to function better. And but I do want to give a lot of credit to Todd on that. But again, it was a good, solid team effort that's having a very positive impact on our kids. And we just had a budget presentation, so finances should be on our mind. And I just got to tell you, what a bang for the buck we're getting here. I'm not going to get specific, but I'll tell you that Todd's retired and he works for less than half of a starting teacher's salary.
A third of a teacher's salary. Well, yeah, less than half.
Less than half a starting teacher's salary. All right, and he works full time and he does great things with the kids. And he's here before school with a weightlifting program, and he's running the Strive program, and we just get a tremendous value out of him. And I just really appreciate all you're doing.
I forgot, last year we weren't able to count some students because they weren't there during the count window. And this year, except, we had one student who had a waiver, but this year, we're looking at 100% count at the high school.
So he's actually generating more revenue than
because
he's
they're
costing.
here.
So it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
From that standpoint, the real standpoint is the fact that it's impacting the kids in such a positive manner. So thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Moving on to Payne Aquatic Center. Corey?
Before we start, I just want to make a personal observation about what we're doing, and that is that at the top of your agenda, you've got a mission and a vision statement, and the whole thing is predicated on an educational philosophy that's a sound mind and a strong body. And so when we're talking about the Payne Aquatic Center, we're talking about the physical activities, etc., we're really talking about the foundation of everything we're doing and what you see up here. And I think it's important to look at it in that context. I'm going to start tonight with just a quick review of history. 6.5 years ago, a tall, skinny guy came in my office and closed the door. And when you close the door, you get the idea that somebody wants to talk serious to you. And this fellow said, I want to help the community by seeing if we can't provide an aquatic center for the community. And then he went on with some nonsense about Sandy told him to Google me, and so that why he was there. But we chatted for a few minutes, and he said, will you help me? And we started from there with meetings in the upper conference room of Jeff Payne's dental office. We invited Jim Featherstone, who was the outstanding water guru, chemistry man in anywhere in the Midwest, to join us, and the three of us sat there and we planned out this aquatic center. And in the meantime, Bill Payne had been talking to the people at the city and talking to Bob Olson and trying to figure out if we did this, where would we put it and what would we do and what did it look like. And so when we sat down for that first meeting, the general idea was that we were going to have a swimming pool that was identical to Ludington's, with 6 lanes diving at one end, a little bit of seating, and that's where we started. By the time we got done analyzing our community, taking a look at everything that we had to do, this little project became a lot bigger project. And we decided that because we had retirees moving into Manistee County, and it was Bill's concern that this be a community enterprise, that lots of people get to use it from all over the county, we decided that we better do something for physical health and therapy. And so instead of a diving well attached to the swimming pool, you have a separate physical therapy pool. And then we looked at it some more. Well, there isn't enough room to make any money. How are we going to pay for this thing? And so we added 2 more lanes, and so that we got to the point where we have an 8-lane aquatic center. And I thought it's just kind of interesting in how this stuff happens. But we have an 8-lane aquatic center. We've got a therapy, warm water therapy pool. We've got seating. We've got 2 locker rooms, and all because of Marty and Bill's vision that this is what they wanted to do for the community. And this wasn't a new idea. When the high school was built, there were some provisions made that someday they'd put a pool someplace. And so it all came together at that time. And then the next question we had to answer was, where are we going to put this thing? It wasn't a dead given for sure that it would go at the school. We talked about setting the MRA up in their own building with the swimming pool being the Manistee Recreation Association, because there's no genuine recreation program as such. Or at that point, we've met with the schools. We talked about a community schools center at the schools. In the end, the board and Bob Olson recruited and convinced us that the best place for the swimming pool was at the high school site. And so some of you were involved, but for those of you who weren't, Bill leased a piece of land formed a corporation, leased a piece of land from the school for $1 during the construction phase. We built the swimming pool. We had a fancy meeting in the lobby down there one day, and Bill got his $1 back and gave the swimming pool to the community. And it's a school pool. The school owns it. The school is responsible to operate it. But along the way, due to a number of people of good faith working very hard, a lot of verbiage back and forth, some at the top of their lungs, we have the hospital involved, and the hospital uses the therapy pool, which is what we built it for, and the hospital pays us about $45,000 a year fee to use that. Cindy got the city involved, and that's another $40,000 in contract that comes to help support that. We have 2 townships, Filer and Manistee, involved. They each pay a fee based on their population, so that their residents can get a 50% discount at the swimming pool. And so this is the foundation that this enterprise rests on. And so far, it's been very advantageous for everybody involved. It's a school enterprise, but in some ways it resembles a community exterior adjunct facility. My role is simply to provide the overall supervision management of what happens out there so that we can make sure we've got enough revenue to try to keep the finger on the expenses. But that's the basis where it goes. And you hear a lot of folks making a lot of comments to the contrary, but that's how we have it. The school owns it, it's theirs. The philosophy is that we're going to try wherever we can to get everybody in the county involved, and we've been doing that through programming and co-ops and all kinds of things. Hopefully each one brings a few pennies in the revenue stream and doesn't cost us more than they bring in. That's the basis that we're operating on. The program plan from the beginning was to have a comprehensive instructional program, comprehensive recreational program, and a comprehensive competitive swimming, diving, and water polo plan, with the competitive part, as usually happens, generally brings in the revenue, or at least a major portion of that revenue, and that's what we're doing. So those are the people who are involved, and that's how it happened. We're pretty lucky. Most of the swimming pools that are going up in schools now, and they're going up all over the state as fast as they can get them up, are running $15 million for an 8-lane deep water swimming pool. And we paid roughly a third of that, and at this point we have 4 prototype pools that are modeled off this one, that are under construction right now. And I think this month the Traverse City YMCA will open up, and it looks a whole lot like this one. Muskegon, Detroit Country Day, and there's exactly the same model is going on down at Coldwater. The same setup that we have here in Manistee to fund it, and the organizational side of it. So people, as Sherry mentioned before, they like what they see. We get the most bang for our buck. Going in, the philosophy was, if the city is involved and the hospital is involved, MAPS also has to be involved, at least to a third. And we figured going in that we were $50,000 to $60,000 a year would be about what MAPS would pay in perpetuity to own and operate this swimming pool, if we could keep these same revenue streams online, and that's what we've been doing. We knew the first 2 or 3 years, until we got our programming up and our revenue stream coming in, that it was going to cost MAPS a little more, and indeed it's closer to 75 than the 50 that was our target goal. But we're making it work. Now, as I mentioned, West Shore is with their programs for 45 hours a week. The Manistee Area Public Schools, for their share, their third or more of the cost of running this, is the physical education classes are in the pool now, and they're utilizing it more and more each term. The physical education program, thanks to the board and a number of other factors, is much stronger than it's been since I've been in town. And so that's a credit to everybody involved. And we're running some intramurals. We've got the swimming and diving. We play a little water polo, but not a lot yet. And we run some summer programs in there. We've got the Manistee Swim Club swim team and a number of people. At this point, we have nearly 250 kids in Manistee, and through our co-ops with MCC and Onekama, we have 250 kids that at some point during the year get involved with the swimming program. We run the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade for four days a week each spring, each class a week. At this point, we don't have any 6th graders that can't swim unless they move in or have some kind of a psychological problem. That saves lives. That saves lives down the road. Plus, if you listen to Dorothy Botzer and you look at what's going on, the rate of obesity in the Manistee Public Schools is coming down. Between the gym classes and the athletic programs and what we're trying to get done at the swimming pool, what Kathy's doing with the dietary stuff in the food service, the rest of the county can't say that. But MAPS kids are getting skinnier, lighter. They used to look, the 2nd and 3rd graders used to come into the swimming pool 5 years ago looking like beach balls on toothpicks. But no longer. No longer. We're slimming them down. Tribute to everybody. That saves lives. We can't be a nation with 80 million diabetics in the 300 million population. It'll break the health system. And so obesity is the number one thing that and go back to our philosophy, strong mind and a strong body. I want to say a word about the MRA. Early on, we decided that rather than have our own and own our own instructional program, we would let the MRA handle the instructional program at the swimming pool. Their numbers to date are this. They have taught 1,378 kids and adults to swim. We've given 171 full or partial scholarships to kids who could not pay to take those classes. We have had 185 of our members, paying members, take those classes. When we started, we did not have a single trained, including myself, certified lifeguard in the county. So when we opened up, we really quick had to get some lifeguards, including myself being retrained. And although I'm not retrained now, we got them up and got them going. That's enough. I don't need to be the oldest lifeguard in the state of Michigan. We have certified 52 lifeguards. We've certified 21 people in CPR, and 65 women have taken the deep water aerobics class. And that's pretty impressive for MRA to do that in addition to what we've done with MAPS. Just a word about the kids that are in the varsity swimming programs. If you look at the honor students, and I say this because it's important, because very often we spend our time looking here because this is important too. But it's important to look at that top 10%. We have had the last 2 valedictorians. We will have this year's valedictorian. We will have next year's valedictorian. And we've got 10 in each class to pick from of the 6th and 7th graders right now. That'll be, one of those kids will be valedictorian. And so our women, you heard the wrestling a little bit. This is the first time these girls haven't heard this because I did this afternoon. I have to turn it in. It comes out in March. Our girls swimming team will have a 3.75 grade average. That will go in March. Last year we were 3.51 and we were 11th in the state. My guess is that we'll be at the top. We'll be pretty close to the top. Academic all-state for girls. Boys, not so much. Not so much. We got work to do. Todd, we got work to do. This pretty much is where we are. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I could go on here forever, but I won't. We spend $220,000 on the total budget. I do need to make this comment. $220,000 on the total budget. 115 or 20 comes from people under contract to work with us. We earn a lot more, and we've got, at this point, an $80,000 plug or something like that. But of that $80,000 plug over the last 3 years, we have 15,000 escrowed. And the reason that we're doing that is that when Mr. Payne negotiated to have Lamar build this, he negotiated a 5-year guarantee on everything that went on over there to work. That is up in June. My guess is Lamar spends $10,000 a year fixing pumps and boilers and this and that and the other thing. And so we are building in right now the idea that starting in June, that's up in June, can't believe it's 5 years, but starting in June, we will own the responsibility for those motors and pumps when they break. And so it's going to be $10,000, $12,000 a year, so we might as well plan it and build it and find the money and pay the bill. Now, we're working on holding the cost down with electricity. We're going to raise some more revenue. We've got 3 or 4 things we're going to do. I won't go into them in detail tonight. As I just mentioned, we're going to have to look at downstream revenue. And I would just say a word about to those people who want to close the swimming pool. All right? You've got it. You own it. In terms of the board, it's yours. If you close the pool, okay, you can't drain it because the hydrostatic pressure from underneath is going to crack the tub, so it'll break. You can't fill it half full of water so it doesn't break and not filter it, or you'll have the biggest health hazard in your school that you've ever seen. You can't not circulate the air in the room, or the ceiling and the walls are going to fall off. Then you'll have nothing but a pile of rubble in there. So whether we like it or whether we don't, there's going to be a $100,000 to $115,000 cost to shut off all programming and leave the swimming pool dormant. Plus, you'll lose all that $115,000 or $20,000 revenue you're getting from West Shore and the city and those townships and everything else. So right now we're paying $75 or $80 to keep it open. If we close it, it's going to cost you $100,000 to have it sit there dormant. Plus, you'll miss all this programming. Cold hard facts. So whatever, questions you have, I'd be happy to answer. I could stand here and talk about the swimming pool all night, but I won't. But we're doing well. We're far exceeding our goals with our competitive program, with our instruction program, and with our safety and cleanliness.
Hey, Corey, I got a question on, you're talking about downstream or the future. Some of those big supporters, West Shore and the community, Manistee and the townships, are you fairly comfortable that those revenue streams will keep going?
I'm comfortable. First of all, they're on a 10-year lease, right, Howard? We're halfway through a 10-year lease at this point. We have had discussions beforehand, and I've discussed it a little bit going in. At some point, we will go back and review what these costs are costing us, and it may be that $40,000 has to go to $50,000 or $55,000 from the hospital. In other words, when we know pretty much and get on an even keel over a period of years what these costs are going to be, there are openers in those contracts to go back and talk about readjusting some of those rates. We're going to have to do a really good job talking and giving people the data that I'm giving you tonight in terms of their people are really using this and they're getting their bang for the buck. But in terms of everything I have seen, it's hard to get money sometimes, get them to send a check, but they're still in the program. Any other questions?
I think another point to bring up too is when you say we've had a successful program for a few years, and one of the costs associated with that, if we would close the pool, that we could potentially lose students and go someplace else that have been successful. And so you lose revenues at another level too.
And you didn't hear this from me because I probably shouldn't recruit from other students, other schools, but we do have students that move in because we have a swimming program. And as we move up in the state rankings, you're gonna have more students move in, but I can't say that.
You know, it's hard for me to keep my mouth shut.
No.
Yeah, I know. And I just have to say it to you. And I think what we've done is outstanding, but I don't think it's complete. And I think when we run a program for the community, literally begging benefactors, begging may be a wrong word, but by not having it be a sponsored revenue, or not even a discussion, just talking here, of having a rec millage to support it. I think we're cutting our dream, or on the edge of a gold mine, digging in the cast-offs over here instead of in the mine. The way to run this is through a dedicated millage, and I know this because at the school I went to after this one, we were in the same fix. Took us twice, but we passed a rec millage in Williamston. And 32 schools around the state have been successful in coming up with a rec millage. And every year that we have more and more people that know what you all know, and that this is not an extra, this is an absolute necessity for this community, we ought to be able to eventually get it, and not to even have the courage to ask. Again, or not even, well, it's frustrating for me, not because I'm not grateful that everyone has done, but it isn't enough. It is not enough in my mind. And even if we did it and got beat and established I don't mean to shake. When I get excited, I shake. Sorry. But even if we had a goal that this is what we're going to do in 7 years, so that we have a base of, we don't have to worry about is it going to close the school. No one wants to. No one has been talking about it. At least as far as this year. But when you get close to being a deficit district, what choice do we have? When this institution is bankrupt, that's where we're going here. And that's what needs to be done, in this guy's opinion, right here. And thank you for what you've done. And the Payne family, what a wonderful thing you have done for this community. But it's time for us to grab a hold of the problem and fix it for ourselves.
There are models to always. We swam in a pool on Saturday with a 2 mil in Holland with a 2 mil bankroll. 31 full-time employees to run the Holland swimming pool.
1 mil here brings what, $450,000?
So,
wow.
Any other questions that I can answer for you? Good.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, next item, athletic co-ops.
Yeah, I emailed you something out. We have 3 co-ops that are set to expire. Hockey, swim, and wrestling. Hockey is a multi-school co-op. We don't put any money into that. We don't pay for anything. Swim and wrestling are programs that we offer, and we co-op with a couple different schools on those. And I'm not asking you for a decision tonight, but we do need to make a decision by either May 1st or May 15th on whether we're going to continue these co-ops and in what form or fashion. And so the purpose of bringing this up tonight is so that we can get the discussion started. We have a work study session on the 26th, and I really need to know what information you're going to want to have going into the 26th, so we can be, Ken and I, and probably Howard, finances, can be prepared to give you any information you're going to want to need, because by either the April meeting or potentially the May meeting, but it would be better if it was by the April meeting, you are going to need to make a decision on whether you want to continue these co-ops or not.
John, could you make up, I'll tell you, I'm interested in how many Manistee kids are on our hockey team. I mean, just having some stats.
Yeah,
I guess, yeah.
We've got that basic stats, we'll have that for you. Yep.
Some of that I noticed with the hockey, you say that there's no charges associated. It'd be nice to see it here when you talk about wrestling. There's one, and there's like 6, 7 kids in swim. I mean, is there any cost associated with that? Do we incur extra cost?
We actually get revenue from the swim program and the rest. Where's Howard at? And the wrestling. I know last year, or the last time we did this, we ended up there was some revenue that came in with those kids, and what we need to do is get that consistent with the schools that we do co-ops with. In my opinion, is that if we're going to charge one school, we need to charge all schools.
And I noticed in one of your emails there was one of the schools in the co-op was not paying money like Oneka.
Right, and that's right, again, I think we need to get consistent on that, but we do get revenue in. So it actually, the co-op, the swim, and I believe the wrestling is the same, but I know it's true for swim. The co-op actually helps offset our expenses for that program.
Even if it's revenue neutral, it isn't employee neutral. We're still, brain power is involved in making the schedules for the revenue neutral. And the athletic director is spending time on things like that. So.
We could not offer our kids hockey without the co-op. We have, I think 1 year, maybe the first year I was here, we had 1 kid in hockey. I think we've got many more than that. We've got 6 or 7 involved now. But regardless, to me that one almost seems like a no-brainer because it costs us nothing, and
she went to Chicago and she never came home, but the Manistee